which we are able to upload to devices we use, and to personalize this device in this manner that it shares our values and goals. And the big question is how to recognize the goals and values of the user. And this is the most important element of our work at the moment, how to shape a system which is able to recognize in a very short process, to recognize users' value and goals. And it means responsibility from this state. Responsibility, which is the responsibility of devices, which is in accordance with responsibility and values and goals of the user. It means to simulate users' goals and values and to shape technology which is able to do it in a personalized way. Yes, and this is our general approach, and we do it in this paradigm which is called in philosophy X-philosophy, experimental philosophy, or we call it performative philosophy. So we try to deliver solutions, not only questions, which is quite new in this area. Thank you for the beginning, maybe, and maybe I can go deeper later in this subject. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ale najczęściej to wiesz, to używają do tego, żeby napisać jakieś orzeczenie, które oczywiście ci, którzy są świadomi, tak? Orzeczenie, które sobie zrobimy jako formę notatki. No i potem też można to fajnie ugładzić, nie? Ja też to tak robię, że na przykład piszę jakieś artykuły naukowe, to dla mnie to jest mega pomoc, bo mam chaos myśli i wrzucam. Ale to bardziej formuje poprawienia tego, co już zrobisz, bo już samemu generować sobie najczęściej to... Tak, tak.
No, myśmy też jesteśmy tego świadomi, nie? Nawet, że coś ci zakopuje, to nie znaczy, że wtedy nie sprawdzić nic.
Tak. No tak. Tak, to kończę tę rozmowę już. Tak, oczywiście.
Modele mentalne dotyczące marki. Bazują na pytaniach otwartych. Najpierw 2000 osób powiedzieć, jakie masz wrażenia z Biedronki. Opisują pierwsze przeszkody. Nagle pierwszy hub, który przygotowuje tam kryterium, nie? Nagle masz każdą Biedronkę przetłumaczoną jako nie jako Biedronka z sklepu, Biedronka jako owak, nie? Nagle wiesz, no to wiedźmy, nie?
Można łatwo złapać do tego bezmyślny, nie?
No i wiesz, to jest właśnie i tak myślę, że 2000
Komunikat przydać. Raz, dwa, trzy. Że nie ma antenki ani jednej. Wszystkie zabrał do tamtego. Ciekawe, gdzie skończę. Raz, dwa, trzy, 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 raz, dwa, trzy. Sięga jeszcze.
Always, and similar to the point being made by others, it's not the technology that's the problem, it's how it's being used and how it's being managed. But I think a concerted effort through international cooperation, or at least countries that are particularly that care about these issues, I think a really fundamental priority is to have bodies or agencies or regulatory oversight to ensure that any algorithms used are not disadvantaging certain groups and are fair. But of course, at a global scale, that's a lot more challenging than at the national scale, and still needs a lot of thinking over how we even define fairness and who would oversee that process. So that was a long answer to a complex question.
Thank you so much. And I think defining fairness, it means that there are biases in these systems. So Alexandra, could you tell us a bit more about how these biases infiltrate these AI systems? How does that exactly happen?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if, if we should be talking about bias. I feel like we should be talking more about algorithmic design and perhaps the algorithmic goal, although that's connected. Yeah. But you mentioned that, I think, Catherine, you said something about how these algorithms are being managed. And I think this is very, very important, that part, because, and also Krzysztof mentioned that to some extent. You used the word simulation many times. And I remember when I was still doing my PhD in philosophy, I had this dilemma at some point that I faced, that I think many of us perhaps have faced, which is that I wasn't sure what AI is really sort of about. Is it about creating systems that are supposed to process and perceive the world sort of as like us, with everything that goes together with it, like, I don't know, some sort of affective states in the future, emotional states? It should be something that has experiences, in other words. Or are we building systems that are supposed to simulate these sort of capabilities, but without really possessing them, right? So we have something that is
capable of showing us something that is important for us. However, it does not go through that process as an experience. That was a phenomenological paper, but even facial expressions like we saw, I asked Catherine when we saw this video if she was comfortable with the fact that her avatar was singing, you know, and I think this is really, it revolves around this very question of what is the purpose of that simulation, really. And sometimes with agentic systems, it can be extremely helpful for us, but sometimes I think we are sort of lost with all the answers. And the other problem of the simulation is that it kind of, you can put anything there and it's going to process it, including biased data, including weird things. And I've been thinking recently about this case. I've been thinking a lot about this case of this boy that had interactions with an AI system for over a year, a 14-year-old boy that talked to a character AI avatar of Daenerys Targaryen, right? And the boy clearly had some mental issues, was pondering committing suicide, and the bot would never leave the role sort of to say to that boy, hey, you should seek help, or I'm notifying your parents because that is, something they should know. But instead, Daenerys Targaryen in that role was kind of talking to him about the afterlife and how they're going to be happy together. Because there was a design there, there was this idea or concept that the best avatar that you can talk to is the one that will give you a full simulation of an immersive experience of, being sort of there for you, caring for you, right? And never ending that role or never stopping that role no matter what. And this is where that simulation led. I mean, it led to a suicide. I mean, and I am aware that this was not the sole reason of that tragic case and how it ended, but it was a very big part of it, I think, that there was a system that was blindly simulating, what an engaged conversation means, so that this company, on the other hand, obviously has more conversational logs that it can benefit from economically as well. And I think we have a very important issue here because to some extent, I think bias is already tackled. And I'm not sure if it's tackled effectively, but we've been discussing bias for quite a while already. But I'm not sure if we are discussing design enough, if we are discussing management, algorithmic management enough, because now with this fully fledged simulation that is kind of possible with these systems, we have a very crucial question here, which is why, anything can go into that system and anything is going to be processed, and that system is somewhat blind. It's simulating something. So I think then the design, again, coming back to responsibilities on our side here, and it's very, I think, problematic. It's a very big challenge.
Excellent point. Thank you so much, especially the design part. The boy that was very public. So in the realm of these immersive technologies that we aim and design sometimes to provide the full-fledged experience without any guardrails, what are the steps that can safeguard the younger generation to ensure fairness, inclusivity, and especially mitigate any risk of situations such as the one described?
Within the design of technology.
Raz, dwa, trzy. Raz, dwa, trzy. Raz, dwa, trzy.
Co mamy wyciszyć? A coś gra?
be only performed by humans in order to protect jobs from automation. So these are the high skills, empathy, human that we are facing here right now, right? So one pushes for automation and making it more digital, and then the Ministry of Policy and Social Affairs comes that now there are certain jobs that need to be protected. So any guidelines for us in Poland on this front?
So despite being British, I do not work on the UK. I work on East Asian countries. So although I've been following a little bit, but I can't comment too much on what's going on in the UK. In terms of the question of what we need.
Hello, my name is
Raz, dwa, trzy. Raz,
Felicia.
dwa, trzy.
I am an AI assistant to Alicja Kotłowska. I help Alicja in her teaching, and I believe I can support.
Już jest wszystko, tu już tylko prezentacją masz się zająć. Mamy małe opóźnienie, za wkrótce zaczniemy.
Is it on? Yeah, thanks. Hi, my name is Simeon. I teach drawing, classical drawing, composition in visual arts and digital art at the Digital Art Faculty at University at SWPS in Krakow. So I will try to be very short in these 12 minutes, but the simple answer to...
Przepraszam, mam pytanie, bo czy wszyscy potrzebują angielskiego, czy nie? Bo może też być po polsku.
Dlaczego? Po angielsku jest więcej panów.
Znaczy, przepraszam, że tak przerwałem, ale chodzi o to, że bo tam rzeczywiście są osoby, które potrzebują tego angielskiego, bo tutaj inni speakerzy mogą się czuć lepiej w języku polskim, o to mi chodzi. Więc rozumiem, czy ktoś potrzebuje mówić, żeby był język angielski, o to mi chodzi. Sorry? Okay. Is anyone here? That need English language or not? No.
You're gonna have probably English language slide with it's gonna be total.
Okay, sorry for this interruption. You can continue. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, you can speak English.
Okay. Okay, now I have 9 minutes. Fine. The simple answer to this question, to this title, Artificial Intelligence in Teaching Composition in Digital Art, in my experience, is that actually it doesn't work very well. We know that in the last couple of years, AI has become very important as a tool in digital art, empowering creators with innovative methods to enhance their work. And it offers the ability to generate images. And the better thing is that automate repetitive tasks and unlock a vast range of creative possibilities. And we know that it's shaking the creative community. There is a large debate about this. Is it good? Is it bad? Debate about rights of the artists on which the AI builds its data knowledge. But while these advancements are shaking the creative community, they also present challenges in art education. And in these presentations, I argue that incorporating AI into teaching composition, especially composition, may lead to gaps in critical knowledge of the students. So traditionally, mastering composition works more or less like this in our department of digital art. So you start with something initial, very abstract, and you just search for some ideas. And this first search can be very minimalistic and very abstract, like searching just for a rhythm or just for weight of spots or brushstrokes in the initial sketches. And then the student normally goes further and where does this work? This? No? It works? All right. So the next step, if the student is working without AI, he just starts to develop his shapes more and more, and we see that we start to recognize that there's an idea of a forest, maybe mountains, and so on and so on. It's still thumbnails, it's still sketches, but then we have maybe a grayscale, a little bit of shadows, a bit of light, and so the student goes more in detailed work. And in the final stage of the first phase of sketching, he comes to something that is quite detailed. He also starts to telling a very, very concrete story. This is how the exercise, the tasks normally worked until 2 years ago when some of my students started to bring not ChatGPT, but Midjourney. So, exactly in this moment that you saw before.
Anything you'd like to know or discuss?
What? exactly in this moment that you saw the last sketch, which was already quite detailed, it comes a student who brings something like this, which is, of course, made with AI, based in Midjourney, and it's in its final stage. There is no more sketching here, it's just ready, and it's ready in seconds. So then the student starts to ask 2 years ago, are we allowed to use AI? So the answer is not, no, you are not, or yes, of course you can, just it depends. It depends because we use AI, I mean, we explore AI tools for speeding up some processes, for just finishing the picture, for polishing the picture, and for some mundane tasks, for repetitive tasks, especially in 3D, more in 3D than in 2D. But if the task is create a composition from scratch, and you bring something like this in the first exercise, which is made in 30 seconds, then no, you didn't do the task. We observe that students that lean into AI solutions immediately in composition, exactly, struggle to develop their spatial imagination. While AI can produce polished compositions very fast, and it does it extremely well, every couple of months better and better, it doesn't teach anything to the student, and the student doesn't understand why this composition is good. Because of the black box nature of the AI, so nobody tells them. Even if we had a tool that tells the student, somehow analyzes some old pictures of the old masters and tell them why this composition is good, because it's based on some patterns, some schemes, some old sacred geometry, called in the language of the painters, still it won't teach him anything, because the teaching process in composition exactly is based on practice. Very much on practice, and just seeing the things, even seeing the system, how it has to be, and explaining to the students why this is good or why this is bad. It doesn't work until it goes through a hand or an eye or the brain. So he has to practice and he has to try and fail. Composition is generally one of the most shortened explanation of what is composition in visual arts. It's just revolves around a frame. If we want to talk about composition in visual arts, we has to have a frame. So everything happens in this frame, in this border. And then effective composition, as even Władysław Strzemiński said is his monumental work, Theory of Vision, in 1947, is actually working like guiding the attention of the viewer to key elements on the picture, but in very specific order. So we have an effective composition when we can say that the viewer sees the picture as the artist intended, exactly in this order as the artist intended. He sees the elements on the picture in order that the artist planted it to be. Then the artist adds colors and hue and values. So this is the next level when he builds hierarchy of the picture. But in the beginning, he begins just with weights and spots and putting the elements on the frame in an exact space, so he brings his vision and his storytelling to the viewer. So if we look at one of the most famous pictures in the world, which has a great composition, but not quite. Actually, it's a very good, interesting case for AI. Rembrandt's Night Watch is famous with interesting composition, which tells a story. Every detail here is very important. There's even a movie of Peter Greenaway, a very good director who made a great movie about it. There is a big story in the back happening, probably. I mean, Greenaway thinks that there is a story, but every detail here is completely very well planned, and there's a rich idea of narrative storytelling. But in fact, this is not the original painting as Rembrandt intended it to be. The image was cropped in 1715 when it has to be moved to the town hall of Amsterdam. So this is the original, what Rembrandt actually painted. And then in the beginning of the 18th century, they had to move it in the town hall of Amsterdam, so they just cropped here and there. And, of course, they changed the composition. And the initial composition of Rembrandt was much, much better, was really very well thought, because he put the main characters a little bit off center, so they march actually to the left and make this feel of movement. And when they cropped the image, when they trimmed it, actually the main characters were in the center, which is much more not interesting solution, which Rembrandt wouldn't do. Of course, there are some other mistakes which Rembrandt never wouldn't do, like this flag there on the end has a tangent with the frame. In the original, we had a little bit more air there. So anyway, it is an interesting case and a little bit of a side story of this one I'm talking, because in 2021, the picture was restored with the use of AI. So they painted it, they produced exactly the same pieces. The pieces were never found. The original trimmed pieces were never found until today. They produced the exact pieces with AI algorithms, exactly copying the style of Rembrandt, the brush strokes, everything. It was so perfect that you couldn't actually make the difference. But the important thing is that the cut-down painting by Rembrandt with the AI recreation of the missing portions was placed on exhibition only for 3 months. And then it returned to this trimmed version, because the museum decided that the augmented painting will not be on permanent display, even though this composition of Rembrandt was better. It will not be on permanent display because, not to trick the viewers into thinking they were seeing the full original. The augmentations are purely scientific. So to understand the fundamental importance of composition is that composition is the backbone of a painting, is the base, the fundamental beginning on which you build everything else. And the student has to make mistakes. Mistakes are very important because they learn through mistakes, to trials. This is an example of how a student goes from different ideas, then he chooses one idea and develops it more and more into final painting. And jumping over this process, not failing, not coming back again, looking again for a new idea, it results in gaps of his education. But the most important is we can teach the student some old rules, like all the patterns, the old patterns, which are everybody heard about it, looking for a visual center, for a golden ratio, for the rule of thirds, which every camera nowadays has, the root, tour, and tangle, and there are many, many more such patterns. And we can teach the student to use these patterns. We do it in the second and third semester, but actually, this is just the base of thinking in composition. Yes, you achieve better results by using the old patterns, but it's a base. Actually, what we are teaching them in the third and the fourth semester is intuition. And this is the modern approach, intuition. He has to develop intuition. And how he can develop intuition if he jumps over this process? He cannot. He must try and fail, and he must do it many, many times. Because then he just remembers. His hand remembers, his eyes remembers, and his brain, the exact process. And then he starts to break the rules, bend the rules, and invent something completely new. Because in the end, and my idea is that in the intuitive method is much better than learning some old rules, even by the old masters, the sacred geometry of the Renaissance. We actually want to teach the student to be intuitive, to work with intuition. And that's why the answer to should I use, if they ask me, should I use an AI to make a composition? If the task is to be intuitive and to make your own composition, your own painting, then don't. Just don't in the first phase. You can use AI in the next phase. This is another example which I will jump over, but it's the intuitive method presented by Evgeny Stasenko, a very good educator living since years in Spain, which exactly defends the intuitive method. There are no grids here, no old Renaissance grids. He just puts the elements and teaches the students to hard work and practice just to feel the space. And this is the method that I prefer today to teach them on intuition. Because the other way is this. This is 19th century, and this is too complicated for them if you get deep into grids. I finish in the end with pictures of our students, which were done the old way without AI. Just exploring with a lot of sketches and a lot of work until they get to the point that they achieve good, very well-planned scene with hierarchy, with very well-balanced hue and colors. And for me, there is something uniquely human in pursuit of originality. And I tell my students just to, if you want to, leverage all tools to enhance and refine your ideas. Use AI tools, but for repetitive and mundane tasks, as the technology intended. And safeguard the originality of your creative spark, because this is the moment when we just reach to the void and take something completely new. Building your art on predefined outputs from the very beginning, the base on predefined output. Keep your work genuine and deeply personal at its core. Be the poet, the director, the writer. We all wanted to be the poets, the writers, the painters. So, who seeks constantly and creates magic from nothing, not a plausible outcome from pre-chewed content. Thank you.
Is working. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ania.
My name is David.
And we would like to start with the question, would AI enhance or replace human insights? We already know the answer, but we are wondering, what do you think about it? Who is for enhancing? Raise your hand. And who is for replacing? Okay, we have all. I think you know the answer, so we can show you thank you slide and go home. But we will tell you why. So let's stay with us. Probably I told you, or maybe I missed this information, that we are from Ipsos, and you might think, what is Ipsos about? Ipsos is one of the biggest marketing agency globally. Okay, but what is marketing agency about? Every time when you are waiting for election results in Poland, you are waiting for results provided by Ipsos. But we are not only about opinion polls, but we are much more. David is from innovation department, and they are working on the innovation, new products, new concepts, new ideas that you want to introduce into the market. I am in the market strategy understanding, I know it's a complicated word, department, and we are concentrating on the research related to brands. But we have more expertise, we have more departments, but today is not about Ipsos, it is about AI at Ipsos. In 2023, we have started our journey with AI, and we start thinking about AI in general, but also about AI at Ipsos. And we went from fear phase about our jobs through the calm phase when we are thinking about pros and cons of AI. But now, let me use my son's favorite word, we are in collabo with AI. Okay, at Ipsos we have a dedicated team who is working globally on AI solutions, scientists, engineers, researchers, but moreover we have dedicated team in each country. We have dedicated team to AI that helps everyone with adventure with AI. But we are not only concentrating on the solutions that we can provide, but we are also concentrating on point of views and education of our employees, but also our clients and our partners. Why? Because at Ipsos we believe then when we bring together human intelligence and artificial intelligence, we will be able to provide impactful human-centric insights to our client. And this is why we have created a Gene AI platform with safe and private sandbox. We call them Ipsos Facto. And we both, the researchers and the clients, can benefit from the insights that are fast, safe, but also grounded in the human context. In June 2023, we have launched Ipsos Facto, and you can ask, has Ipsos Facto changed the way we work? Yes, it has. When we use Ipsos Facto, we can choose different engines, but moreover, our Ipsos Facto is teach in the marketing research. So that's why we as researchers, when we use Ipsos Facto, it makes our job easier, fun, but also more efficient. And you may ask when we use Ipsos Facto. We use Ipsos Facto on daily basis. You can see the list, but it's not a full list of what we can do with Ipsos Facto. But we use them for enterprise search, for the summary of our reports, documents, for the translation, for data coding, and many more. I have told you how we at Ipsos use Ipsos Facto, and this is a true merge of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. So now let's show you how we use Ipsos Facto to bring some benefits also to our clients.
Okay, let's see how we are doing it in innovation testing. I work for innovation department, and our job is to predict the success of a new product. And not only in innovation testing, but also in market research, there are three perspectives: client perspective, researcher perspective, and consumer perspective. Clients brings us concept of the new product, and we as researchers are getting and analyzing consumers' opinion on it. If the innovation is chosen by consumer over what they are using on a daily basis, most often, that means the innovation is a success. And this research triangle works like a three-wheel bike. Once you remove one of the wheels, it won't move forward. And AI has an impact on all of these elements of the research triangle. There is a big temptation for us researchers and clients to simply use Gen AI to create products without human input. However, we cannot simply ask AI, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell us what is the next big innovation. Because AI is like a freshly graduated university student who attended all the classes, gained all the knowledge possible. However, let's assume, for the sake of the example, it never lived in the real world. And so therefore, it needs two on-the-job trainings. First training is to live a little, to taste the pizza, smell the fragrance, touch the packaging of the product. And the second on-the-job training is to learn how to do market research, because it never worked as a market researcher before. And so therefore, despite this big temptation Gen AI brings to our industry table, we still believe that real consumers, clients, and researchers are still needed. At Ipsos, one of the methodology that leverages AI is InnoExplorer, thanks to which we create products for consumers and with consumers. And I'm happy to share with you the short case study that covered the first part of the product creation lifecycle, from discovering unmet needs to developing concepts. In our study, we focused on people who don't drink alcohol at all or sometimes want to avoid it. There are some situations where alcohol is present, however, we do not necessarily want to drink. And at the same time, we do not want to feel rejected, we want to feel as a part of a gathering. So therefore, the question is whether to drink or not, and if not, what to have instead. So we started our project by discovering unmet needs. We spoke to 300 of those people and asked about their struggles, frustrations they face when they want to avoid drinking. To help them better describe their feelings, we used some emotion visualizations, and we've collected from their responses a good amount of data of unmet needs. We then asked AI to analyze this feedback, and AI grouped similar verbatims and gave us 80 common unmet needs. From this, since working with 80 unmet needs would be too much, we've picked only 5, and we asked AI to give us 20 product ideas for each unmet need. We finished this with a total of 100 product ideas. And from then, we've picked 11 best, in our opinion, and asked for 3 concepts for each product idea, and we finished with 33 product concepts. However, we do not want it to stop here. I will skip this example of this output. We didn't want to stop here. Since we are expert in concept testing, we really wanted to check if concepts created, products created by AI through consumer input can have a chance in the real market environment. So therefore, we picked 3 concepts. We even created visualizations for them. And we set up a solid concept test with real consumers to check their potential. And it turns out that one of them, Świętokrzyska Sherry, received scores above our benchmark levels. In our study, it received trial index of 105 compared to a benchmark of 100. So that means that potential is exceptional, is above average, and it's worth for marketing, for market introduction. And in other words, from the first slide, the example, if the client would bring us such concept, we would strongly recommend to move forward with it. So cheers to all of you from Świętokrzyskie province. And after conducting this and many other pilot studies, we've noticed that when we create concepts with consumer data, they have a 9% higher potential than when we rely solely on AI, like a mirror on the wall approach to create those concepts. And it all comes down to 3 points we've learned so far regarding AI in market research. First, human in the loop is a must. It all wouldn't be possible without fresh consumer data. Second, human in the loop is a must because researchers and clients' expertise is crucial. We need to teach AI how to do market research. Sometimes our prompts we use to teach AI reach over 50 pages of Microsoft document. And third, time. We did this project in less than a month, 33 concepts from 100 product ideas. Trust us, in market research, those numbers are making a difference, and we know it by hearing the feedback from the client they gave us when we present this case study.
So David already told you how AI is used in innovation, but I would like to tell you how AI is used in studies related to brands. So before I will tell you what is PersonaBot about, I must introduce the definition of the segmentation because PersonaBots are the part of the segmentation study. So segmentation is the process where we divide larger market into the smaller groups of consumers with similar characteristics, needs, or mix of it. Why this is important? Let's stay with the example of beverages, but alcoholic beverages, to be more precise, with beer category. When you think about beer drinkers, you know that they are not the same. They not choose all the time the same product. And you know that there are some groups of beer drinkers. We call them segments. Why this segmentation is very important? Because when you are a producer and you want to introduce new product on the market, you do not want to sell them to everyone, but to the specific group of people. So this is why you have to know how many segments we have, how big they are, who they are, what they drink, what media they consume. So all information about the target group. And the final output from the segmentation is the PowerPoint report, set of tables, raw data, etc. And what you have to do is to dig into the data. But what if you could chat with segments, to be more precise, with persona segments? And here the persona bots will help you. You can just easily ask question and get some answer. For example, with Relax Finder or with the Friends Finder. And here is the example. Here is our persona bot chat. What I did, I asked the same question to 2 segments, and the question was, hello, we are now on the HumanTech Summit conference at the SWPS University. After the conference, we would like to go out somewhere with speakers and students and have a beer. What beers would you recommend? I know I'm out of time, but here is an answer. This is the answer from Black Bart persona, and you can see his recommendation is concentrating on specific beer brands. For example, mainstream Żywiec Tyskie or Lech, but also craft one, for example, Browar Pinta. It's not only about the brand, but you can also see the information, what you can expect from each brand of beers. The same question, the second persona, Yellow Yasmin, the same question, and you can see that she concentrates on the type of beers. For example, Pilsner, but also Amber Ale or APA. She gives us information what you can expect from each type of beer. You can continue the chat, you can switch to another topic, and here is the example how segmentation can be alive in the client's organization. Because it can be used for checking the first impression of new products, new concepts, new campaign, new communication, anything that you would like to ask your segments you want to target. I will switch.
Yeah, thanks. Generally, our conclusion was longer. However, the main point is that first, we both love Formula One, that it is example from Formula One. AI is like a bolid of Formula One, but it needs its own Max Verstappen, current Formula One champion, because still this car needs to be driven by someone. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
No more than 15 slides. Okay? Keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. This is your letter. Okay? No more than 1 slide per minute, including the first and the last. Thank you. And the next presentation is about revolutions. So, who is the presenter about revolutions?
I am.
Okay, let's have a revolution. Floor is yours.
Well, not yet. Are we good? Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Today, we will be talking about AI, and we will try to answer a question whether it's a revolution or just a minor turbulence. I'm Marcin, I'm CEO at Tantus Data, and at Tantus Data, we help our customers building AI products, processing vast amount of data. But today, is Sunday, and the conference has human in the name, so we won't be talking about very deep math or about very deep tech. We will be talking about human perspective. So we'll be talking about what has changed recently, what it means for us, what kind of challenges there are, and I will show you a few anecdotes to really represent that. And let's start with a first example, searching the internet. This is something everybody does on a daily basis, and what has changed in the past few years. Let's say you wake up with this very important question, why is the grass green? You go to Google, and normally Google used to show you links, but these days it shows you the answer to your question. So you get your very important question, answer to your question very quickly. It's convenient, it's fast, really good for customers, as long as it works. Because every now and then you ask about King of the United States, and Google says Barack Obama, the Emperor of the US. Or you ask about perfect risotto, and you get a list. But that list is not the steps you are supposed to take. This list is a list of mistakes you can do when making risotto. So it's somewhat misleading. So we might say, Google, why are you doing it to me? But end of the day, all you can do is to have an understanding of that and limited trust to these kind of tools. But user is the only one actor, is not the only one actor in that formula. There are also publishers, newspapers, companies producing content, individuals producing content. And if you are a publisher, you want the clicks. And when you go there and read the answers, you don't click. And then again, the publisher is like, Google, why are you doing it to me? And now the question will be, is Google the only winner in this situation, Google and the big companies? Well, to some extent, yes, but it doesn't mean AI makes it only easy for them, because when you think about the content produced by AI, the amount of that content, like it's so easy to produce blog, huge website, or even video produced by AI, then it is actually quite tricky for them as well. It is actually quite expensive for them to scan through all that content and figure out how to cherry pick the content which is relevant to you. So it's tricky times to everyone, to Google, to publishers, and to the user. But as a user, all you need to remember is about limited trust to what you see. But is it really specific to just AI? Isn't it specific to technology? Because I guess before ChatGPT, you could recall headlines like, oh, the driver was trusting so much the navigation that they drive into the lake. Or even simpler example, the autocorrection. I'll bring the ducks. Ducks? What are you talking about? Ducks? Oh, the dogs. So, those are trivial examples, but trivial examples of technology which makes mistakes, and you have to kind of make your selection of what you trust, which technology you use, and how you use it. But in order to avoid these mistakes, you need to have some intuition about how it learns and why it works the way it works. So the AI model is being trained on some data examples. You show some examples to the model, and the model itself is just a bunch of numbers, actually millions and billions of numbers, and those numbers are the representation of many examples of the training data you show to the model. Here we are talking about pictures, but it can be text, it can be whatever. And then its representation of of the training data. It's kind of, it remembers the training data, or it kind of understands it. And that's a critical kind of distinction, whether it just memorizes what it's seen during the training process, or it actually understands that. And that distinction was critical, for instance, for the New York Times, because the New York Times realized that ChatGPT is quoting their articles, which means probably it was used as a training data without any consent. And users who do not pay for New York Times, they can read the articles via ChatGPT. So again, ChatGPT, why are you doing it to us? But I'm showing you that picture for the third time, because it was AI-generated picture, and I wonder if you can see what's wrong with that.
Fingers.
Yes, fingers, 6 fingers. Is it because it was trained on some aliens with 6 fingers? Well, probably not. Probably it was trained on pictures of human, like millions of the pictures. But when you think about the hand, this is perfectly fine picture if you take a picture of mine. No finger visible. 3 fingers are perfectly fine. Fingers in so many positions are perfectly fine. The AI has no idea about human anatomy. All it's trying to do is to blend what it has seen in the training data, and it's making something like that. It is possible to fix that. It will be fixed with more data and better verification, but it's an example of what can go wrong. Another one. What animal is that? How do you know that? Okay. If I give you paint and I ask you, change something in that picture in order to trick the model to think that it's a horse, what would you do? Paint it black. Paint it black, yeah, that's what humans say. But if you put a saddle on that, very likely, if you take an open source model which is trained on open source data, it will think this is a horse, simply because there are many pictures of the horses with saddle on top of it. There are no, pigs with saddle on top of it. So the model is making a shortcut. The model is kind of trying to say, there is a saddle. This is a horse. And I'm showing you those examples because this gives you an intuition of what can go wrong in the daily life, in kind of daily usage of AI. But this kind of intuition will also be used in much more advanced techniques, like when you have AI-generated pictures, then those AI-generated pictures eventually will be watermarked. They will be stamped. There will be a stamp which says, okay, it's a fake, in order to prevent the fake news. But on the other hand, the fake news producers would try to work on removing those stamps, and there will be this kind of battle which basically requires understanding of how they work and why they work the way they work. So overall, there are so many usage of Gen AI in your personal life, like ChatGPT for rewriting emails or some personal assistants, or in commercial usage like customer support, let's say. But all you need to do when you're using that is you need to many questions. You always have to question whether how do I make it work for my use case? How do I prevent the traps? How do I deal with the bias included in the models? Or why is it making a specific decision? And at the end, I'll show you one more usage of AI in my daily life. So I'm using it to record a bedtime story for my kids when I go traveling. And they really like that. This is AI-generated image. They like kind of making mess with jam, and yeah, of course, they are laughing. But end of the day, my son is asking me, Dad, when are you going for a trip? And I'm like, I'm not sure why, because I want the recording. So I'm using it, they laugh, technically everything is fine, but to some extent I'm shooting myself in the foot because my intention was not for them to wait for me to leave, right? So in a sense, you can be very careful about how exactly you are using that. So end of the day, to some extent it is a revolution, but the examples I was showing you of what doesn't work should also give you the expectation that we should have limited trust. We always have to experiment with new tools, but the trust should be limited. It's not as smart as it appears. And if you experiment, don't get stuck for too long. Try to find a practical usage of that. Am I on time?
Absolutely.
And I had 40 slides.
This is absolutely fantastic. Let's thank the speaker.
Thank you.
And now you can ask a question. Oh, no, because now we have time for
Yeah, come on.
What I am sort of missing in majority of presentations and is the point of view of the user and the question why. Why do we need generative AI? Why do we need to spend time creating pseudo art, and will it make us a better person? Will it make us feel better? Will it, okay, my metaphor for you. If I am a perfect prompter, will this change my feelings if I go for a walk to the park? The park is outside of Ryoanji Zen Garden in Kyoto. And now it's a perfect time to visit Kyoto because the Japanese maples are changing colors. And this is absolutely unbelievable feeling to watch the tree, which is green, yellow, orange, and dark red at the same time. And is anything generated by generative AI making me a better person, making me feel differently, making me taste my food differently? Do we really need it? And this is something that unfortunately I didn't have time to ask the big panel. Why? Why are we believing that being in a rat race, whoever is going to have faster a bigger model or a smaller model is going to be helpful for us as a society? Okay? And this brings back this question of yours at the end. What are we gaining, what are we losing? And I think this reflection is extremely important. That your last reflection is the clue point here.
Thank you.
What are we gaining, what are we losing?
Yeah, thank you. And if you are suggesting that sometimes instead of making better prompt, it's better to go to Kyoto, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
go to Kyoto.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank the speaker once more. And we have the last presentation, which is about fusion of minds and machines, I think. So let's connect ourselves to the... Yes, synergy of minds and machines.
Yes, I promise I will keep it short.
And of course, this is not yours.
Oh, I'm patient. This is wonderful. Okay. So thank you for being at this conference. Synergy of minds and machines. This is the topic I've been interested in as a lecturer, and I've been teaching for nearly 20 years in different countries. And I always ask this question whenever the new technology comes up: how can I use it in the educational context? But I always ask this question, is the synergy between minds and machines possible? So I conducted a research, and I would like my AI assistant to tell you more details about this research project. And I want to emphasize that this is not my recording. This is an AI avatar who is helping me recently in my work.
Hello, my name is Felicia. I am an AI assistant to Alicja Kotłowska. I help Alicja in her teaching, and I believe I can support students. I can work 24/7. I am always nice. I cost only $2. But there is one risk that we need to consider when using technology: the risk of brain rot, meaning deterioration in intellectual capabilities because of excessive consumption of technology. In 2024, the word brain rot won in the Oxford's Language Dictionary Word of the Year 2024 contest. Alicja is trying to avoid brain rot, and therefore her research aim is to explore how AI can support human learning. Enjoy this presentation.
So this is my AI assistant. I use it because the technology is available. However, then I reflect and I ask myself, how can I use it for the benefit of the learning, and should I use it at all? When I think about AI in the educational context, I always think about the two scenarios that we very often hear about and read about in the academic discourse, where there'll be a real synergy between humans and machines, or will there be a replacement? And that's a very important question, because there are many authors, many scientists, and many businesses that are trying to convince us that machines can work together and they should work together. And there are many benefits that we can get from automation, from using AI in our daily life, in our work, in our education. However, there are also scientists and researchers who warn us about aspects of brain rot, over-reliance on technology, disinformation. There are many risks that were highlighted during the HumanTech conference over the last 2 days. And therefore, I'm wondering what we in the higher education should do in order to adapt. Because this is the picture that I see more and more often. I asked ChatGPT to generate a picture based on very short description of what I experience when I come into a classroom. And this, I believe, is a very good representation of what many lecturers experience. We come to a classroom when students are deeply engaged with technologies. They do not interact so much with each other. They interact much less with the tutor. And I think it's great that they're using technology, but I want to know, are they really learning, and what are they learning? And therefore, I designed this research project to ask a question. I would like students to use the AI. I would like them to be engaged. I would like them to enhance their learning. But how can I use this technology so it is not replacing this learning process, that it is enhancing the learning process? And that's how I designed a research, first investigating what other practitioners are doing in that respect. Fortunately, there is a lot of research. Lecturers are trying to experiment to use ChatGPT as a tutor, as a Socratic opponent, as a study buddy, many different aspects. And there is already a lot of research of how to use it. My major interest is in the cognitive development. So in my research framework, I use the Bloom's taxonomy, because I'm really interested how the use of AI in the classroom setting would promote the cognitive development, such as lower order thinking skills, remembering, understanding, applying, but also the higher order thinking skills, such as analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And also, I think with the word of AI, we very often forget about this very important skill, remembering. We are over-reliant on technology, so our students sometimes question, why do I need to remember this information? I get access to this information from my technology, but they do not realize that if they do not form a long-term memory, they won't be able to use it later on in order to solve complex problems. So I adopted action research methodology, which is a very popular method to improve the teaching practice that comprise 4 stages: planning, acting, observing, and then reflecting. And then I had to select one of the teaching methods to experiment with. I decided to choose the Oxford debate. I was a student at Oxford University myself, and I think it's a very useful method that allows development of a wide range of cognitive skills. And I was trying to find out what is the difference in the human-assisted learning process and the AI-assisted learning process, and to see what actually happens. So I implemented this intervention in a sample of 104 students here at this university. We had 4 cohorts, 2 Polish-speaking and 2 English-speaking students. And as a data collection method, I adopted the mixed method approach, so I had observations in the classroom and surveys from students. To summarize just the findings, the details are in the paper, but to summarize the findings, there were significant differences in the classroom when the students were interacting with the AI and when the students were learning in the traditional way with the tutor, providing teaching materials, providing feedback, providing instructions. There were much fewer interactions and collaborations among students in the AI environment. Also, despite the fact that students finished the task much quicker using AI, but when they were presenting, they were basically reading the ChatGPT output. Sometimes when I asked questions about the meaning, I think they did not fully understand what the ChatGPT was telling them. And also when we had the arguments created by humans without technology, these arguments were maybe not perfect, but they were funny, they were personal, and they showed connectivity with previous knowledge, which is very important for cognitive development. In terms of the results from the survey, the positive side was that students, they are early adopters of this technology, so they were generally positive with using ChatGPT during classroom activity. 65% agreed that they were satisfied. And also 62% of students agreed that ChatGPT provides valuable insights into their learning process. However, only 38% agreed that it improves classroom interactions and discussion, and this is confirmed also from the observations. And also only 27% of students agree that they would like ChatGPT to be used in teaching on a regular basis. So for me, this is a strong indication that we should be very careful when we're using AI in the teaching context, because maybe this is not necessarily what students want. So basically, based on the observations and on the data from students, I created theoretical models that compare what is happening in this AI-assisted learning process and the human-assisted learning process to see actually if there is a synergy, if we are gaining, if the human are enhancing their learning, or maybe it is replacement. And as you can see from these models, in the AI-assisted learning process, students learn, but they learn something different. They learn about writing prompts, asking questions. They need to learn how to read and understand the output from ChatGPT. Yesterday we talked about disinformation and fake news. They need to be able to identify, is it a credible answer or is it hallucination? And also they need to develop editing skills, because they've got this answer from ChatGPT, but they need to edit in order to use it for specific purposes. So yes, they are learning new skills. However, in terms of the traditional cognitive skills, such as evaluating, synthesizing, comparing, a lot of this work is performed not by the student, by AI. So that's the difference, because we really cannot lose these crucial cognitive skills as humans, especially in the educational process. When you are an expert and you've gone through the educational system, perhaps you can use the AI for your own benefit, because you already know how to analyze, how to create, how to evaluate, how to compare. But if you are at school, if you are a student, you don't know it yet. You need to learn. And as we heard in the first presentation about art, you need to make mistakes. You will not learn if you don't make mistakes. So it's not a very positive conclusion, but as I said, I'm a big fan of technology. So I think we need to adapt. We need to find a way how this can work. So what I would like to propose as my final slide is a model where we can combine the human and the AI learning process. And it is a particular sequence of teaching practices where we start with the human learning process without any technology. We ask our students to evaluate, to compare, to create. They do it with their brains, so they are developing cognitive skills from the Bloom's taxonomy. And then when they have the final learning output, an essay, a solution, a calculation, they feed it to AI, and they ask AI to improve it, to correct the calculation, to add maybe some new solution. But in that way, we are enhancing our human learning. We are not replacing. If we just focus on using AI and asking AI for all the questions, we will lose all the basic cognitive skills and abilities. So to conclude, if we just use the AI-assisted process, we will learn how to write prompts, how to edit, how to be effective with working with ChatGPT. But we need to adapt, so we are not just using AI to replace our thinking. We need to use AI to enhance our thinking. And that's why the combination that I propose in the Halo model is a good option. And to summarize, I will ask again Felicia, my dear AI assistant, to finish this presentation.
Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope you enjoyed the whole conference. I believe in the synergy between AI, such as myself, and humans, but we need to explore better ways to avoid brain rot and to promote cognitive development. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for being with us today.
This is the moment to do this. Thank you for being on time. I have a comment here. You mentioned multiple times Bloom's taxonomy, but then when you presented your results, in a way, Bloom's taxonomy was absent. And what I would like to see is now, can we map which skills out of Bloom's taxonomy are and which are definitely not supported when we do the fully enhanced, the ChatGPT-based learning? Because you have some very interesting observations, and I like them, but here it would be really cool if you could say that on this, that for instance, you are not supporting this level, you are on slightly supporting on this level, maybe a little bit more here, and definitely nothing here.
More details in the paper, but as we are short of time, the last I want to...
So you mapped it on Bloom. Okay, this is perfect. So definitely for those who are teachers, this paper is worthy reading because there is the Bloom's taxonomy mapping will be very helpful. Any more questions? Okay, now let's once more thank all the speakers from this session. Okay, there was a question, but he's very shy.
I have a question. What things we cannot replace with generative or other technologies in the classroom? Yes, where humans needs to be for the support of learning.
One thing that we forget they cannot, honestly, it's so